So I welcome all the participants again in this day 3 of our AICTE ATAL FDP on design thinking for next generation AI solutions. I welcome the resource person of this session, Professor Kurt Esperson Peters. He has been with us since the beginning of this session today, and I feel honored. I feel delighted to have him with us today. Now, to begin with our session formally, I invite the session coordinator of this session to introduce the speaker of the session.
Once again, good evening to all. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to day 3 session of ATAL FDP on designing thinking for the next generation AI solution. We are honored to have with us an esteemed speaker, Professor Kurt Esperson. Professor Kurt Esperson is an assistant professor in the Department of Interior Design, Faculty of Architecture at the University of Manitoba. Before joining the university in 2018, he served as a program coordinator and professor in the Bachelor of Interior Design program at Algonquin College from 2006 to 2018 and as a visiting lecturer at the University of Moratuwa, Sri Lanka. He holds a PhD in English literature from Lancaster University, along with a master's degree in architecture from McGill University.
Are we good to go?
You are on mute, Anjali. I think you are on mute.
Oh, sorry. Sir, it's all mute?
Yes, now you are audible.
Oh, okay, sir. Sorry. It is my pleasure to welcome you all to day 3 session on ATAL FDP on the topic Designing Thinking for the Next Generation AI Solution. We are honored to have with us Professor Kurt Esperson Peter is an assistant professor in the Department of Interior Design, Faculty of Architecture at the University of
अच्छा
Manitoba.
सर,
Before joining the
आप
university
अच्छा जुड़
in
जाइए सर. अब कोई
2018,
आप अगर बाहर हैं तो कोई बात नहीं. सेशन
he served as a
अच्छा अच्छा.
program coordinator and the professor in the
हाँ
Bachelor of
हाँ जी हाँ जी.
Interior Design program
बस
at
अंजलि इंट्रोडक्शन बोल रही है
Algonquin
उनका.
College
हाँ बोल
2006
रही
to
है. बस आप
2018
अगर जुड़ पाएंगे तो बस जुड़
and
जाइए
as a
2 मिनट
visiting
वेलकम के लिए.
lecturer at the University
फोन से
of
ही जुड़ जाइए सर, लिंक क्लिक करके.
Sri Lanka. He holds a
अच्छा
PhD
अच्छा.
in English literature from the Lancaster University,
हम्म.
along with the master's
जुड़ गया
degree
सर, ठीक है.
in
आप
architecture
मेरे नाम सार है,
from
बस आप अनम्यूट कर लीजिएगा
McGill
सर, पे
University
अलाउड है माइक तो.
and the University.
आप उसके साथ डिपार्टमेंट के नाम.
Yes, sir, please unmute.
Sorry, he holds a PhD in the English literature from the Lancaster University, along with the master's degree in architecture from McGill University and the University of Calgary. As co-director of academic initiative with the Canadian Centre for the Mindful Habitat, his research focuses on mindful design, pedagogy, critical mindfulness, and the relationship between the built environment and the human experience. Now, I welcome to Professor Kurt for start the session now. It's on your. Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you
Anjali,
very much.
for introducing the resource person of this session. I would like to invite Professor Mayank Agrawal, Dean, Faculty of Engineering, and co-coordinator of this FDP, to welcome Professor Kurt. Sir, if you are there, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you, Suresh.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Professor Kurt, a very warm welcome to you. And I'm
Thank you.
very thankful to you that you gave your consent to join this FDP. and we really look forward to meet you in the physical mode. We hope that we will be meeting soon, and we look forward for to learn from you through this session. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you very much for the invitation. So could we begin?
Yes, sir. Please, you can
Okay. And you can see my
start
screen
with it.
okay?
Yes, screen is okay, sir. You can start your
Okay.
lecture.
Perfect. Thank you. So welcome everybody. My lecture for today is the role of the designer in the time of AI. As was introduced, my name is Dr. Kurt Esperson-Peters. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Interior Design at the University of Manitoba. Today I'll be examining how artificial intelligence is influencing and potentially reshaping design in the built environment. I'll explore how AI clarifies rather than replaces the designer's role by increasing our responsibility, critical thinking, and analytic engagement. My aim is not to provide definitive answers, but to ask how we define value, intention, and responsibility as technology becomes more capable. And I'll end with some reflections on where we might go from here and offer a few suggestions for moving forward. So we have to ask ourselves, what or who is the designer? Designers translate intangible goals, comfort, identity, emotion, and culture into tangible form through drawings, models, materials, and specifications. They generate ideas, but they also manage how those ideas become real, coordinating processes, people, and resources. The designer's role sits between creativity and administration. They imagine possibilities while ensuring those possibilities can be built, delivered, and experienced as intended. Designers have a broad range of responsibilities, including but not limited to research and analysis, which is an understanding of the users, the context, the history, and project constraints. There's also creative synthesis, transforming insights into concepts, forms, and experiential intentions. We also have visualization, where we're looking at the communication of ideas through drawings, renderings, models, and prototypes. There's also collaboration. We coordinate with clients, engineers, contractors, fabricators, and specialists to ensure ideas become reality. We're also responsible for ethical and sustainable thinking, designing with social, cultural, and ecological awareness, balancing immediate needs with long-term impacts. And finally, we have technical and regulatory competence. This is interpreting codes, standards, materials, and construction methods to ensure designs are safe, feasible, and buildable. Ultimately, our role is to connect the user's needs with the material, spatial, and aesthetic realities of our world. So the designer is the who. What we now need to define is the what of design. And this is the design process. The design process begins as a structured form of strategic problem solving. Designers move from understanding a problem to imagining possibilities, testing alternatives, and shaping coherent and meaningful solutions. In architecture and interior design, this creative phase involves aligning user needs, spatial conditions, atmosphere, form, and materiality. And it is an iterative process where ideas evolve through sketches, models, prototypes, and conceptual exploration. Creativity here is not just expression. It's the ability to envision futures and translate intangible goals into spatial experience. Once ideas take shape, the design process shifts into coordination and execution. Designers must translate concepts into drawings, models, and specifications that can be priced, approved, engineered, and then built. This phase requires integrating building systems, regulatory constraints, budgets, schedules, and technical requirements. And designers act as strategic coordinators, balancing users, purpose, materials, and construction realities. They ensure that creative intent survives the journey from concept to inhabitable space, guiding collaboration across clients, consultants, contractors, and manufacturers. With designers balancing creativity and execution, the key question is, in what ways can AI meaningfully participate or reshape these dual aspects of the design process. So we have the designer operating as both creator and administrator, and the design process that carries ideas from concept to built reality. The next question is, where does AI fit into this continuum? To answer that, we need to understand what AI is capable of within the design disciplines, not in abstract terms, but in relation to specific tasks, decisions, and responsibilities that shape architecture and interior design. Only then can we evaluate whether AI supports, augments, or complicates the work designers do across both creative and administrative sides of the process. So in architecture and interior design, AI now assists with tasks such as early performance prediction, space planning, construction sequencing, and high-quality visualization. With that in mind, let's look more closely at how AI is currently being applied within design thinking and professional practice. So where can we use AI in design thinking and practice? Currently, AI can be used in the following areas. In areas of automation, automating the mundane parts of the design process. Generative exploration. This can produce thousands of design options based on inputs. Also, performance simulation. AI is excellent at predictive modeling. And virtual staging. AI is excellent at renderings and visualization, a key component of design presentation. And then there's also personalization. Depending on how the prompts are written, AI can allow for some sort of personalization. In the design process, visualization and generative exploration are central to creative thinking. AI accelerates at automating routine and repetitive tasks, and it can rapidly explore generative variations based on patterns in its training data. It performs especially well in areas that are data-driven, structured, and rule-based, tasks that benefit from speed, consistency, and large-scale pattern recognition. In this way, AI extends our abilities through augmentation and co-creation, helping us analyze information, to test alternatives, and to make more informed decisions. It also enhances our ability to visualize, compare, and communicate ideas clearly. AI is particularly strong when it comes to generative exploration and rapid visualization. It can take a basic prompt or a design challenge and produce multiple variations almost instantly. For example, imagine beginning with a straightforward task, designing an office for a technology company. By providing AI with the program requirements, spatial needs, and a few guiding parameters, it can generate a preliminary design response within seconds. These results aren't the final designs, of course, but they offer a fast way to explore options, test ideas, and begin a conversation about possibilities. For designers, this kind of AI-generated output can be a quick way to visualize what a space might look like at an early stage. It speeds up the process of getting ideas onto the screen so we can react, refine, and rethink. As always, the quality of the response depends heavily on the clarity of the precision of the prompts we provide. The more detailed the instructions, the more accurate and relevant the result will be. But for our purposes here, this simple example is enough to demonstrate how AI can support early visualization and exploration. And for experienced designers, AI-generated outputs can serve as a useful starting point, something to refine, critique, and develop into a complete design solution. It provides an initial framework that can be shaped through professional judgment and expertise. AI also accelerates the visualization process, and with thoughtful prompt writing, it can produce a wide range of variations and alternatives. This can broaden creative potential by revealing options a designer might not have considered initially. And there are many benefits of AI in design. We'll examine those that apply directly to design thinking and practice in the built environment. AI offers several meaningful benefits in the design of the built environment, specifically architecture and interior design. The first is efficiency. AI can automate repetitive and time-consuming tasks, things like drafting, documentation, and clash detection, allowing designers to focus their time on higher-level thinking and creative problem-solving. There's also exploration. It can generate countless alternatives in minutes, helping us explore possibilities we might never have considered on our own and expand the boundaries of our imagination. There's also customization. AI can tailor design solutions for specific users and for groups, analyzing needs, behaviors, and preferences to help create environments that respond more precisely to real human lives. And there's also sustainability. It can assist in optimizing materials, energy use, and the environmental performance, supporting more responsible, efficient, and eco-conscious design decisions. Let's return to the boardroom example from the earlier plan. Now that we have a basic layout, we can look more closely at how AI might help develop the design in greater detail. An initial rendering is quite generic, but is useful as a starting point, but limited in character and specificity. So the natural extension would become, if we add more detail and clearer direction, can we actually improve the result? Here we begin to see a major limitation of generative AI, especially when it intersects with social, cultural, and human values. Because AI only imitates patterns from its datasets, it can produce questionable or inappropriate imagery, misusing signs and symbols without any understanding of their cultural, historical, or social meaning. This happens because AI cannot distinguish between respectful representation and harmful appropriation. It simply recombines patterns it has seen, regardless of their meaning or their significance. When working with cultural traditions, sacred symbols, or identity-focused spaces, this can lead to outputs that are insensitive, stereotyped, or even offensive. But it's not out of malice, it's out of a fundamental lack of understanding. And this underscores the need for designers to critically evaluate AI-generated imagery, and when necessary, rely on controlled, community-informed datasets to ensure cultural accuracy and respect. So this brings us to our first major problem. AI is fallible. As this slide reminds us, ChatGPT can make mistakes, and it's important that we check our information. That warning applies broadly to all generative tools. While not all AI systems train on social media content, many models still rely on large, publicly scraped datasets that are not vetted by experts. This means inaccuracies, biases, and misconceptions can easily make their way into the output. And when we apply AI to the built environment, the stakes become higher. Unchecked or unverified AI output can compromise safety, accuracy, or the integrity of a project. So AI also struggles in areas that require cultural awareness, emotional nuance, and ethical judgment. AI has no lived experience, no sense of history, and no understanding of the social meanings embedded in spaces, symbols, or traditions. Because it learns from existing data sets, many of which are biased, incomplete, or culturally skewed, it can unintentionally reinforce stereotypes or misrepresent sensitive material. AI also complicates question of authorship. It can generate designs, but it cannot take responsibility for them. These limitations remind us that while AI can support the design process, it cannot replace the ethical, cultural, and interpretive work that designers must continue to perform. So AI has remarkable capabilities, but it also has clear limits, especially when it comes to design thinking. These limits are important because they remind us that data alone does not guarantee meaning. In areas of human intuition, AI lacks intuition, empathy, and lived experience, so it cannot sense the emotional or cultural dimensions of space. It can imitate patterns, but it cannot understand why certain design decisions matter. There's also data bias. AI produces whatever biases exist in its training data, which can lead to inaccurate, stereotyped, or culturally insensitive results. If the database is flawed, the output will be as well. There's also a reliance on over-automation. AI can over-automate the design process, producing confident answers without awareness of context or appropriateness. This can obscure authorship and create a false sense of trust in machine-generated ideas. There's interpretability and opacity. AI systems often function as black boxes, offering results without explaining how these results were reached. This makes professional justification and regulatory compliance difficult, which leads us into ethical and professional responsibilities. Designers remain ethically and legally responsible for evaluating AI-generated information. Judgment, cultural sensitivity, and accountability cannot be delegated to a machine. And there's also technical limits. AI struggles with nuanced BIM integration, complex engineering logic, and evolving ambiguous design problems. It cannot fully handle code compliance, accessibility standards, or multidisciplinary coordination. These limitations reinforce a crucial truth. AI can organize information, but it cannot give that information meaning. Meaning comes from human intentions, our values, our priorities, and our understanding of what a building should do for the people who actually use it. So again, this leads us to a much larger question. How do we work with AI's limitations, especially when design depends so deeply on human understanding? Now, I'm not interested in blaming the technology. AI is only as good as the people who use it. What truly matters is understanding the designer's responsibility in the time of AI. When we design for the built environment, we face challenges that are fundamentally human-centric. An understanding of the human condition and of human values is essential to every design decision that we make. Design remains a uniquely human activity. It is still, at its core, a human story. Our task is to ensure that the right values, the right meanings, and the right intentions remain at the center of our design solutions. And any integration of AI into design thinking and practice will need to address these positions if it is to have any value or impact at all. So before we debate what AI can do, we need to ask a more fundamental question. What do we want from design? When we talk about the built environment, we are talking about a wide spectrum of human needs and values. The first is functional, how a space performs, what it costs, and how usable it is. There's also the experiential, how does it feel? The atmosphere it creates, the emotions that it evokes. We also have to think about empathy, how well it cares for the people and supports their well-being. There's also a cultural aspect, how it reflects history, context, and shared memory. We have to think about the symbolic, about how it expresses identity, authenticity, and meaning. And there's the ethical, how it addresses sustainability, equity, and responsibility. And probably last and most important of all is the transcendent, about how it inspires beauty, awe, and a sense of the sublime. Our responses to these dimensions shape the role of the designer far more than any technology ever could. AI's benefit only matter when they are guided by clear human intention rooted in these values. So this brings us to one of the biggest challenges facing designers in the time of AI, which is responsibility. Responsibility has always been central to design practice, but it becomes even more important when considering integrating AI. No matter how advanced the technology becomes, responsibility remains a human concern. Designers are accountable for the accuracy, interpretation, and application of any AI-generated material. We must review and validate every result. Expertise and judgment cannot be outsourced to an algorithm. In the broader context of the built environment, only humans can apply ethical and aesthetic judgment, understand cultural context, and shape the narrative depth of a project. Again, advances in AI reasoning may make this more precise, but it will always return to a human decision, for as long as we let it. Our duty as designers expands. We're no longer just makers, but critical interpreters and evaluators of information. Now we've seen what AI can and cannot do in shaping the built environment. So the next question that I'll ask goes much deeper. How does AI influence the values behind our design decisions? AI can generate enormous amounts of information, but that information has no inherent direction. It floats until a designer grounds it, until we give it purpose, context, and meaning. So the issue before us is not simply AI's capability, it is the question of purpose. And who decides what truly matters? In the design of the built environment, a real challenge is not just AI's limits, it's that we as designers still haven't agreed on what we value most in the built environment. So I outlined earlier 7 aspects of a building's design: its function, experience, empathy, culture, symbolism, ethics, and transcendence. But how do we determine their relative value? As AI grows more capable, unanswered questions become unavoidable. What matters more, efficiency or empathy, performance or poetry, identity or innovation? If we don't articulate our values, our tools will decide for us. The 5 memos that follow highlight the human capacities that must strengthen as AI becomes widespread. These are discernment, empathy, context, responsibility, and transcendence. And I will discuss each of these in turn. They remind us that AI must transform how we design, but only designers can determine why we design and what remains worth designing for. I'll start with memo 1, which is discernment. AI can show you possibilities, but only you can choose what is true. AI will offer endless options. It's fast, seductive, and overwhelming, but abundance is not insight. Volume is not wisdom. What is really at stake here is the quality of our decisions. When AI generates possibilities without purpose, designers must provide the compass, the values, the criteria, the human understanding that distinguishes a meaningful solution from a merely impressive range of results. Our role is not to accept these outputs at face value, but to interpret them. This is the heart of design thinking. Design remains an act of judgment, deciding what to keep, what to abandon, what to refine, and what to protect. Discernment ensures that design solutions are intentional, guided by human priorities rather than algorithmic accident. To practice discernment, designers must question the image, not worship it. AI images can appear convincing, even authoritative, but their realism is often deceptive. We must learn to see through the polish to the underlying logic, or the lack of it. We also have to validate performance against real evidence. Generative output is not proof. It must be supported by research, data, and lived experience. And we have to ask, does this serve the people or merely impress them? Design can slip into spectacle when guided by the algorithm's search for novelty rather than human needs. And we have to remember that speed is not clarity. AI accelerates production, but thoughtful design requires deliberate thinking. The world does not need faster design, it needs better design. Discernment is the gatekeeper that prevents the built environment from being shaped by algorithmic noise. AI multiplies choices, but discernment gives those choices meaning. Without human judgment, AI-generated ideas lack direction, purpose, and value. As AI accelerates the pace of design, we must intentionally slow our thinking. We must resist the temptation to let velocity replace vision. Discernment is not just a skill, it is a safeguard. It protects the built world from randomness, from superficiality, and from decisions made without human intention. And in the end, we must choose with clarity and conviction what truly deserves to enter into the world through design. The second memo is empathy. AI recognizes patterns, but only you can recognize people. AI can detect correlations, preferences, and behaviors, but no algorithm can feel the weight of a wheelchair on a slope, or the vulnerability of a newcomer searching for their way down the right doorway, or the sensory overload that overwhelms a child in a loud corridor. These moments, the lived, fragile, intimate moments, are where design truly begins. Empathy is the first design tool, older than a chisel, a pencil, or AutoCAD. It is the human capacity that turns raw space into meaningful place. AI can inform our decisions, but it cannot care. It cannot understand dignity, it cannot sense fear or comfort, and it cannot imagine what it means to move through a space with a body other than its own. Empathy matters because design is not only a technical act, it is a social, emotional, and ethical one. Every design choice touches a person's life. Empathy is what allows us to anticipate that impact with humility and compassion. To design with empathy, we must advocate for the unheard and the unseen. Good design protects those who are not present in the room: the child, the elder, the refugee, the neurodivergent, and the vulnerable. And we have to correct the biases that often hide within our data sets. Data is never neutral. We must identify who is underrepresented or misrepresented and actively address it. We have to let lived experience outrank computational logic. The human story must weigh more than the algorithm's prediction. Lived life is the ultimate data set. And we have to hold dignity, well-being, and inclusion as non-negotiable essentials. These are not features to add, they are foundations that we have to uphold. Empathy forces us to prioritize people over patterns. It teaches us to treat design not as commodity, but as care. In the time of AI, empathy is not optional, it's leadership. The more AI appears in our work, the more present we must be in every decision. We must ensure that no person is reduced to data and that no human need disappears into algorithmic silence. Empathy anchors design in the human condition. It ensures that technology serves people and not the other way around. Design that neglects empathy may be efficient, but it will never be humane. And a built environment without humanity is no environment worth building. My third memo is context. AI knows everything except where it is. AI can analyze vernaculars, materials, climate histories. It can predict rainfall patterns, map solar paths, and catalog thousands of architectural precedents. But it cannot stand barefoot in the soil. It cannot feel the humidity of a Sri Lankan morning settle on the skin. It cannot understand why a community paints its doorways blue, or why memories echo through the walls of a long-lived place. Context is not simply data, it is lived experience, accumulated over generations. It is culture, climate, craft, memory, and meaning all woven together. And only humans can sense the continuity of place, the weight of history, and the delicate line between reverence and intrusion. Context matters because without it, design becomes placeless. A global aesthetic drifting from city to city without roots or belonging. Design that ignores context may be efficient, but it will never feel true to the people who inhabit it. To honor context, designers must protect cultural nuance. This means resisting generic global solutions in favor of local specificity, materials, rituals, stories, and customs. We have to translate local stories into material decisions. Design is a form of storytelling. Materials, forms, and spatial rhythm should reflect the narratives of the community. And we have to ensure that AI's abstractions do not erase identity. AI tends towards homogenization. It reproduces global norms. Designers must counteract this drift towards sameness. And we have to reaffirm that design begins with the site, the people, and the history. This is the foundation of contextual design, seeing place not as a backdrop, but as a protagonist. Honoring context is not nostalgia, it's a responsibility. And it ensures that design strengthens cultural continuity rather than dissolving it. So AI is global, but design must remain local. And the future designer must become the keeper of place, the one who ensures that every innovation, every material choice, and every spatial gesture is grounded in the stories, textures, and lives that make each community its own. Context gives architecture its identity. It is what transforms a building from an object into a place where people recognize themselves and where their history and future can coexist. Without context, we build structures. With context, we actually build belonging. My fourth memo is responsibility. AI can calculate efficiency, but only you can calculate consequences. AI can optimize almost anything: layouts, materials, energy use, circulation paths, but optimization is directionless without values. Toward what end does it optimize, and for whom? These are questions no algorithm can answer. Issues of sustainability, justice, equity, and accessibility are not mathematical problems with tidy solutions. They are ethical responsibilities, and they fall squarely on human shoulders. Design decisions ripple far beyond the drawing set. They influence the health of bodies, the patterns of cities, and the stability of ecosystems. And responsibility matters because design is never neutral. Every gesture, every choice, and every line drawn creates a future someone must live in. AI may accelerate our capabilities, but it cannot bear the moral weight of our decisions. Only we can do that. To design responsibly, we must filter AI's outputs through ethical reasoning. We cannot rely on the algorithm to understand harm. Ethics must frame every interpretation. And we have to choose long-term stewardship over short-term convenience. Responsible design extends beyond efficiency. It asks what will still be standing and still be just. We have to recognize that the efficiency, when unexamined, can cause harm. A design optimized for speed or cost may undermine accessibility, cultural continuity, or ecological resilience. And we have to hold ourselves accountable for the impacts our work leaves behind. Designers must own the consequences of what they approve, not the tools they use to make it. Responsibility forces us to confront the reality that AI can recommend, but only we can decide. And decisions without ethics are simply risks waiting to unfold. So AI expands power, but responsibility directs it. In the years ahead, designers must become the conscience of their tools, ensuring that every choice we make empowers life rather than diminishes it. Responsibility is what keeps technology aligned with human dignity, ecological care, and social justice. It is what turns capability into wisdom. Without responsibility, design becomes dangerous, but with it, it becomes humane. My fifth memo is transcendence. AI can imitate beauty, but only you can create the sublime. AI can render sunsets, reflections, textures. It can simulate light, mimic material, and generate atmosphere, but it cannot feel awe. It cannot sense the hush inside of a chapel, or the way light humbles us in a courtyard, or that sudden stillness that makes us aware of our own breath. The sublime is not a visual effect. It is an emotional and existential resonance. It is the moment when space becomes more than shelter. It becomes an experience of meaning. Design is more than function, more than performance, and more than efficiency. It is ultimately a search for significance, a search for the poetic, the profound, and the quietly transformative. This is where AI falters, and where humanity must lead. Because transcendence cannot be computed, it must be felt, imagined, crafted, and understood. To design for transcendence, we must use AI to free time for deeper thinking, not replace it. Automation should create space for reflection, not eliminate it. And we have to seek beauty with intention, not algorithmic comfort. Beauty is not a style preset. It must be cultivated, chosen, and argued for. And we have to protect space for intuition, wonder, and poetry. The ineffable cannot be automated. The designer must create room for it. And we have to remember that transcendence is the true gift of design. It is what elevates architecture beyond construction and interior design beyond arrangement. Design for transcendence reminds us that spaces can do more than function. They can move us. AI can help us visualize possibilities, but only humans can decide which gestures hold meaning. So AI may assist creation, but only humans can give it soul. Our task in the future is not to outpace the machine, but to deepen the humanity the machine can never reach. Transcendence is where human design returns to its oldest roots, the desire to create spaces that speak to the human spirit. To design for transcendence is to preserve the poetic core of what makes architecture and interior design matter at all. AI can draw, render, calculate, and optimize, but it cannot feel longing. It cannot feel reverence. It cannot feel joy. Only human intention can turn a building into a sanctuary, a room into a refuge, and a moment into meaning. So in the time of AI, design must be guided not by speed or abundance, but by human capacities that machines can never replicate. And to do that, we must continually ask ourselves what it truly means to be human in this moment of technological transformation. Rather than critiquing the technology, we must first critique ourselves. These memos are not prescriptions, they are provocations. They invite us to examine with greater honesty what we value, what we protect, and what we hope for in the built environments will express. They remind us that designers must act with integrity, empathy, and responsibility. Automated processes do not relieve us of that duty. If anything, they heighten the need to articulate our values with more clarity. In the end, these memos insist that the future of design depends less on smarter tools and more on stronger human judgment and deeper human values, the very qualities that give design its purpose and its meaning. So what should designers become in the time of AI? Well, in many ways, we must remain who we've always been, but we also have to inherit a new set of responsibilities that did not exist before. Designers now have to access more information than any other point in history. This abundance requires stronger analytical and critical thinking to interpret, filter, and prioritize what truly matters. We must also make more frequent and more complex ethical decisions about how information is gathered, how it is used, and how it shapes the environments we create. And as technology evolves, we must evolve with it. As data sets shift and expand, our interpretive frameworks must grow alongside them. Designers must now curate, question, and refine the data that informs design, ensuring its accuracy, relevance, and humanity over time. The designer's future role will expand capacities in creativity, ethics, and data literacy, but the path forward is neither resistance nor blind adoption. AI can automate tasks and generate countless options, but it cannot decide what matters. It can assist with choices, patterns, and performance, but only designers provide meaning, care, and intention. In many ways, the designer's role in the time of AI is more human-oriented than ever before. Now, as an educator, I believe that preparing designers for the time of AI requires cultivating four essential capabilities. These capabilities that give design its humanity. In teaching and learning in the time of AI, I believe it's important to emphasize the following. The first is ethics. We need to focus on responsibility, empathy, and moral clarity. The ability to judge consequences, safeguard dignity, and ensure that what we create empowers life. AI expands power, but ethics directs it. We have to focus on thinking. We have to emphasize critical and analytic discernment. The ability to interpret information rather than simply receive it, to question the image, to slow the mind, and to choose with intention. AI multiplies choices, but thinking gives them meaning. We also have to rely on research. We have to advance evidence-based inquiry rooted in both science and culture, understanding not only performance metrics and environmental data, but also communities, histories, rituals, and lived experiences. AI analyzes patterns. Research reveals their context. And finally, poetics. We need to preserve meaning, creativity, and beauty, and the human condition. The ability to design for awe, resonance, and emotional truth, to create the sublime, not just the efficient. AI can imitate beauty, but poetics gives it soul. So why did I choose these four? Because AI can automate processes, but it cannot make decisions grounded in values. It can generate information, but it cannot interpret its significance. It can assist creation, but it cannot decide what matters. These four capacities form the foundation of the new designer, a designer who is equipped to guide technology, curate information, protect culture, and elevate the human experience of the built world. In the time of AI, the designer's role is not reduced, it's actually expanded. We must become not only creators, but stewards of meaning. As we close, I want to leave you with this. AI will continue to advance. It will draw faster, calculate better, and generate more than any human ever could. But the future of design will not be shaped by the speed of our tools. It will be shaped by the depth of our humanity. Everything we've discussed today leads to a single idea. AI can expand our capabilities, but only we can expand our humanity. The 5 memos remind us of that what truly matters in design cannot be automated. Our judgment, our empathy, our connection to place, and our ethical responsibility and our search for meaning. These are not weaknesses to overcome, but strengths to cultivate. They are the foundations of a design practice that remains courageously human in a rapidly changing world. Our tools will always keep evolving. AI will keep improving. But the values we bring to our work, the care, the attention, and the responsibility, these are ours alone. So the question ahead is not how powerful will AI become, but how powerful will our values remain? In the end, the built environment will not reflect our algorithms, it will reflect our choices. And the future of design will belong not to the most advanced technology, but to the designers who know what truly matters. That will conclude my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I'll open it up to any questions.
Thank you, sir. I was, yeah. Dear participants, if you have any question, you can write in the chat, or you can raise your hand, or you can ask by unmuting yourself. It was very deeply and thoughtfully prepared presentation by Professor Kurt. I request sir to discuss a little bit more about how we can include, how we can use the principles of design thinking in modern day designing and modern day problem solving in our day-to-day life. Sir.
It's a tough question for sure. One of the things that I've been experiencing in my years of teaching and design practice was how do we make choices? How do we make our decisions? And AI today gives us a lot of options, more options, than we can ever could have thought, and quicker, and much quicker. So there's always a problem about where we get the information from, and then how do we know if it's actually true? So we have to actually become more critical of the information that we receive, either, through our research or stuff that we may get online, through some sort of, an AI generated data set. We have to approach it with suspicion, because how do we know exactly where that information is coming from, especially with AI that does not have any sources, any way of kind of articulating where did we get our information from. So again, that lays a larger responsibility on us as designers to improve our decision-making, critical thinking, and analytical skills, probably more so than we ever had in the past. And so, in my estimation, I think we need to develop those skills more. It isn't just technical about how do we write prompts, it's now how do we think about this information and how do we know it's true? Because now we are even more responsible for the information that we're gathering, deciding on, and putting out into the world. And if we're unsure about where we're getting that information, we actually have to be more critical than we ever have in the past.
Yes, very rightly said, sir. With great power comes great responsibility.
Exactly.
We are much more powerful as we were in the past. We have this ability of communicating. We have this ability of transforming. We have this ability of AI and machine learning and other digital tools in which we can defame or reframe or make excuse of, make fun of any person easily. So why what I think that it is the responsibility of the user to use AI responsibly, to think before we do something, to think before we post something. AI
Yeah.
definitely, as you said in the presentation, AI can create images with beautiful sunset scenes, with beautiful backgrounds, but it cannot create the experience. The
Yeah.
experience comes by doing yourself, by experiencing those beautiful pictures by themselves, by yourself. Very rightly said, sir.
Hmm.
Now, there is a question in the chat. In an era where AI tools can generate building layouts, interior themes, and 3D visualizations within minutes, how will professional degree like architecture and interior design maintain their relevance? Do these fields risk losing value, or will AI create entirely new roles that require deeper human creativity and technical judgment?
Hmm. Yeah, that's a great question. And it kind of hits at the heart of what I was talking about earlier, is that ultimately in our current model of professional design practice in architecture and interior design, interior architecture, is that the designer is ultimately responsible for what they put out. So relying on AI that can be fallible, it can make mistakes, there has to be some sort of, a way of regulating the information and the design before it actually goes out, because
Yes.
the designer is responsible for what, they build. And if AI misses something in code compliance and the building collapses and kills somebody, is AI responsible? How do you hold that person accountable? So there will always be a need in the current model where architects and interior designers have a responsibility, an ethical and professional responsibility, to make sure that their designs meet code requirements and accessibility standards and so forth. AI will never circumvent that until it becomes powerful enough to understand all of those issues that are coming into play. I don't think we're there yet. Is it possible that we might be there? Maybe the role of the designer might be in how we actually construct these data sets, about how we create these algorithms. So maybe the switch is, from actually doing the design to programming how the algorithm will actually work. So maybe we become writers of code rather than actually designers, and let the design algorithm and the design programs actually do the work itself. I still think we're a ways off from that. I still think that there are a lot of legal issues that I think will be problematic in the profession. I don't think that AI will ever replace design in our current
Yes.
model. I think when we look at it, from an advertising point of view, I think it's companies just trying to say, hey, we're going to actually revolutionize the world. You don't need a designer. We can do it all for you. I think that's false. I think a lot of the firms that I've spoken to in Canada and the United States, they use AI, but it's for information and research purposes. The final responsibility is still with the designer. And the
Yes.
designer has to be
Yes.
more
Yes. Yes.
capable now to vet that information. They have to double check, triple check the information to make sure it's correct. So AI might give you a lot of stuff, but you got to go through all that stuff. You have to check it and make sure it's true. Because if you don't and let it slide in and there's a problem, you're ethically and morally and legally responsible for what you put out.
Yes.
Good evening, Professor Peter. I'm
Yes?
audible.
Yes.
It was wonderful session. You are explaining about the role of AI. But my concern, because now you are talking about that design thinking as a researcher, there are a number of researchers. They are doing so many things. They are using this tool AI. But there are young minds. They want to operate this kind of mechanism based on your exposure, and they want to do the innovative ideas, the creative ideas. And what do you want to suggest them for the beginner, for doing for the research people? What do you want to project according to your thinking, Professor?
Yeah, one of the things that I found in my research when I was looking at how AI comes up with its results had a lot to do with how the data sets are set up. And I know a lot of people at the university where I work who work with AI, and they generate their own data sets from research that they conduct. So there's kind of this closed data set that they would use, like in science or medicine or something like that. And so they will use the algorithms and AI to actually comb through their own data sets. And in that way, I think you could be relatively assured that you will get quality information out. When I look at my students, in the classroom and they're using AI to generate ideas for a design project and things like that, they're using some sort of a social media, chat GPT and so forth like that, where the data set is not expertly curated. And I think this becomes the problem because what they're doing is relying on information that hasn't been checked, hasn't been vetted, and so you don't know what kind of results you're actually going to get. So I think as AI continues to develop, the idea of being able to find patterns and recognition in that, I think that's a hugely powerful tool and very helpful. But it's how we create these data sets, which I think is problematic. If you have control over the information that goes in, then you can be fairly sure you're going to get good answers coming out. But if we're using something like social media, the internet, and so forth, we can't be sure that the information that we're getting is correct. And therefore, I think that's a really big problem. So if we rely on these unvetted data sets, I think the onus is really on the designer to check to make sure that the information that they're getting is correct.
Thank you, Professor. Lovely, you are explained. Wonderful. Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Very kind of you.
There is one more question in the chat. Before the advent of AI and digital tools, ancient architects created structures that were deeply intelligent, symbolic, and sustainable. In your view, what lessons can today's AI-driven designers learn from that legacy of intuitive, culturally rooted design?
I think there's an interesting possibility, I think, for designers to participate in cultural history in a way that we could bring our expertise to a group of historians, people, cultural experts who would be able to read through these understandings of symbols, meaning, and understanding, certain communities and contexts to be able to create accurate and respectful data sets. So there could be a way that we could document what we see and what we, experience in the world from the experts to generate good data sets that we could actually use AI to comb through to be able to use that. So in a way, if we're able to accurately and authentically document the symbolism of a particular, object, a culture, or so forth, and then have that in our data set, we could be fairly sure that an understanding of that, would be fairly clear and authentic when we would run it through an algorithm. So I think there's an interesting possibility that, designers can participate in creating these types of data sets that future generations of designers might be able to use. So we wouldn't be using like a social media type of data set. Maybe we develop some sort of a design data set, an architecture, interior design, a historical aspect. And I think, that type of documentation, I think could be really quite interesting. And it'll allow us to have a more sort of encyclopedic understanding, a more sort of participatory way of generating information, where we would put, the information in the hands of the experts. They would generate the meaning, the context and the value of that. But I also think that could only go so far. I'll give you an example here in Canada, in where I teach in the middle of the country in Manitoba. There's a very high Indigenous population. So we have a lot of Aboriginal people in our province. And across Canada, we would have maybe over 250 different Indigenous communities that identify as different. Within the province of Manitoba alone, depending upon language and division, we're over 400 different Indigenous groups by distinction. And even in where I live close to downtown, there's a difference between the people who live north of a river and south of a river who would have this type of definition. So we could go from a nationwide understanding of Aboriginal as being one word. Then when we get into the nuances, all of that sort of specificity becomes harder to understand and calculate because we can't paint with a broad brush to say everybody is one type of people, one type of group. So we need to have that type of accuracy, to get to the specifics. And that, again, comes back to my idea that we need to have good analytical thinking skills. We need to be critical in how we're actually going about this, and ethical, so that we're being respectful and empathetic of people's positions, their histories, their cultures, and their values. And then how do we record that in an accurate way, so that the algorithm that AI might use would be able to use that information in an authentic manner. And if we can get to that level, I think that could be really quite a transformative part in the way we think about using AI and how we think about codifying and understanding our own history, and that designers can participate in writing that history, in thinking, what does this matter from a design point of view? A different perspective, right? From anthropologists, the scientists, and whoever would be writing these things, we could have design perspectives on particular cultures, peoples, and so forth. I think it could be quite fascinating.
Right. Rightly said. One more thing I would like to add here. AI is not only changing the life of architects and designers. It is changing the life of the software engineers also. As I am facing a challenge of teaching the students of computer science, now they are freely using these AI tools to write their code. Previously, when I was a student, I used to write that code by myself. I used to learn the syntax. I used to learn how I am going to write that code. I have to solve by applying my own thinking, by applying my own visualization for the problem. Now the students are not in a sense of responsible way, that they are not using their these tools very efficiently or very carefully. They are just typing their queries in the chat GPT, and they are getting a code in reply. That code they use for their projects. That code they use to run and submit in the classroom work also. So that is actually reducing the thinking ability or innovative nature of a person. I guess these AI tools, these various methodologies that has been changing the life of our um, society and students, is not actually benefiting them in making them a good person. They are just making them as a slave of technology. They are so much dependent on these technologies to do their work, to do their day-to-day tasks. So, with this, there is one more question in the chat. Um, you have rightly pointed out why even in the future AI will still, I think I will put mute first. Yes. Uh, there is a question in the chat. You have rightly pointed out why even in the future AI will still require humanoid touch. My question is the decrement good or bad? Can it be combined with empathy to get benefited to society?
Yeah, dealing with culture and society is tricky, because AI would depend on a certain set of rules, and if we always have different rules and different cultures and different societies, AI needs to understand all of those things. So it has to be programmed. It has to, have a clear understanding. And even in those types of, when we make a decision about ethically right, ethically, maybe shady, or dubious in some way. The human condition allows us, to act in certain ways. We could be more empathetic in ways, that we might not be in others. So the human values are never always consistent, because we could be persuaded one way or the other by somebody's argument or somebody's suffering. We could change the way we think. We could change or deviate from the rule to accept certain conditions. And we do this all the time. We make concessions and we change these things. It's kind of uniquely human, allows us to make our own decisions. But in a rule-based system like computational logic, you have to account for all of those variations, and it's usually easier just to have one set of rules. This equals this equals this, we do this. But to have all of these other possibilities, all of a sudden it would just open up into an incredible range of how can I make a decision based upon all of these options and alternatives? So my answer would probably be, I think we need that sort of empathetic engagement, that human engagement. It has to be that sort of one-on-one engagement, because humans have that ability to change their mind, to think and feel differently, and to change these feelings over time that is never consistent. And so, that's a good thing and a bad thing for the human condition, right? We are kind of predictable, but also kind of not. That's kind of, how we are as people. And, until we can get a system and a rule base that will actually work with that, I think we have to always come back to the human side of this. Where AI, I think, could work, it could point out to say things, like you're making a decision, hey, these are some rules that you should be thinking about. It could help inform your decision-making process by reminding you of what's going on. But I think when we abdicate and say, let AI do the decision for us, then I think we give up control. And then we let the algorithm take over. So I think if we want to remain in the picture as humans and have the decisions matter for us, I think we need a stake in making that decision, which is why I think, increasing empathy and engagement and ethics, I think, is hugely important, probably more so than ever before, that we have to make ethical decisions about what we're going to do. And because AI could be so seductive, because it's quick and easy and authoritative, we could be lulled into a false sense of security of believing that it's true. And I think we have to approach that with skepticism.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, there's another question there about explain discernment. Discernment in my discussion here is basically judgment. That's what I'm thinking about how we make choices, right? The choices that we make, how do we come to our decisions? How do we discern what is right, what is wrong, what is appropriate in a particular context? I like the word discernment because it's a little softer than judgment. Judgment could feel a little bit kind of harsh, very, it's either this or this, where I think discernment actually is a little bit more of a nebulous term. It allows us for argument and dialogue and discussion, and then come to decision. So it isn't such a rule-based type of judgment, but a way of kind of generating discussion and interaction, which I think is important if we're going to reach any type of decision. So that's how I intended using the term discernment. It's a type of judgment, if that helps. There's another one there. AI impacts job opportunities in the future. What's your opinion? Yes, I think it will. I think jumping into AI too quickly is going to be problematic. I think when we start to lose, human ability, human judgment, I think that's problematic. I think knowing what AI can do and how it can fit into somebody's, job or responsibility is probably the key thing. I think because the technology is so new, we just don't understand how it's going to impact people's lives and their jobs. So I would argue and say, I think we need to slow down a little bit on our integration of AI, understand what it does, what people do best, how AI can help, and then what matters in the end. If you're in a human value environment where you're interacting with people, you want to have that empathetic engagement. You want to have that human touch, and replacing it with an algorithm, I think could, be problematic. So I think there needs to be some larger studies about the impact of how AI is going to, impact the workforce and the type of jobs that we do. My advice is restraint. Understand what it does first before committing to it fully.
I hope that
Yeah.
I hope all the questions are answered here. We can take some more questions if the participants have. You can write in the chat. Dear participants, I request you to please open your camera so that we can have a group photo in an online mode. Sir, I request you to please stop sharing your screen so that we can see some beautiful faces of the participants. Yes, very good.
That
Some
better?
of them are
Okay.
here. I will share the screen to have a Uh, Stop sharing. No. Sorry, can you see the view of together mode? Is it visible?
No, sir.
Okay. Let me take some snapshots I will put in the group.
Mhm.
Very nice. I can see so many people who have attentively attended your session.
Thank you. And thank you for the
Uh,
opportunity. It's
yeah.
very nice of you to invite me here, even though I really don't know anything about AI, but this was very helpful for me just to open my eyes to the possibilities and do a little
Yes.
bit of lateral thinking about, AI and design. So it was educational for me as well. So thank you again.
It was all my pleasure, sir. I requested you and you accepted my request to be the resource person of this session.
Thank
And
you.
dear participants, I would like to inform you that our proposal has been accepted for a edited book on AI and design thinking in Bentham Science. It will be published in Scopus Indexed Publishing House by Bentham. And Professor Kurt will be managing editor. We will be my co-editor for the book, and two more resource persons who are currently joining on the another day will be collaborating as editors also. So nice having you, sir. It
Thank
was
you.
a great um, event with your presence, and I don't have enough words to thank you. I feel that it's a great opportunity for us to hear from you and to learn so many things by this session. And I
Thank you.
hope you are doing good. And I request you to be connected with us, to guide us through this process, through this journey of learning. And I invite you again to visit India whenever you come. You are most welcome to visit our campus, our
Thank
university.
you.
It's a beautiful place near River Ganga, and it's a holy place where all the citizens of India come and visit
Mm,
River Ganga. It's a very holy place. So you are most welcome.
thank
And
you.
dear participants, on behalf of the organizing committee and on behalf of the university, I would like to thank you from my heart. And with all these words, we will take a leave now. We will end this session here. If you have some questions, you can surely connect with the professor. He has left his email ID on the last page. You can note it down, or
Hmm.
sir can share in the chat also. So
Sure.
you can communicate, you can collaborate, you can ask some questions if you have. And in the near future, I would like to suggest a new project so we can collaborate to develop some teaching material also,
Mm,
so that the students or the beginners in this field can learn the basics as a um, tool, or we can develop a lecture based series to teach them design thinking and the principles of design thinking with the help of Professor Kurt and another resource persons from different sessions. We can have this opportunity to take the input.
that sounds amazing. It's a great
Yes.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
will put in the chat. I have the email ID of Professor Kurt. I will share with you.
Thank you.
So thanks. I hope you have a class today or you don't have. Is this day off today, sir?
I don't have any teaching today, but I have faculty meetings that begin at lunchtime. So yeah, I'm gonna have some breakfast and then I'm gonna go to campus.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Thank you once again for joining us
thank you.
today.
Very nice of you. And again,
Thank,
nice
Thank you,
talking
Mr.
with
Speaker.
everybody.
Wonderful session. We
thank you.
enjoyed. Lovely presentation. Thank you. Thank you for the
Thank you.
organization. Wonderfully, you are organized. No, excellent. I'm very
Thank you very
happy.
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
We are just
you're all very
trying
kind.
to bring together so many resource persons from different fields. It's a platform. We are just providing the facility. Thank you. Thank you
Sure.
very much. Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you
Thank you.
again.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. So we'll be in touch,
Yeah,
Suyash,
sure, sir.
about
Sure,
the
sir.
book.
We will be communicating through email and through
Okay.
phone also. And
Yeah,
I have started working on that book. I will share more details with the participants also. So I request
sure.
uh, contributors from the participants of this FDP.
Okay. And is there, I guess you, as we're talking, I would just like to know some of the deadlines so I can plan out, in the
The act,
next year, sort of what the
yes, yes.
expectations are.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Actually, that is what I am going to tell all the participants. All the
Hmm.
participants are also interested in this. Some of them have called me to request more details also. The proposal was submitted in Bentham Science and now it is in accepted state. So we can float this information that we are
Okay.
requesting the participants or the collaborators to submit their proposals as abstract. You have to
Okay.
write a short abstract and on the topic of artificial intelligence, I will also share my screen here. I was just uh, making some changes in the poster so that I can share the details with all the participants. Let me share my screen here. We have the poster ready. Here it is. I am sharing my screen. I hope it is visible to you. So this will be the poster of the invite call for papers, call for book chapters. I have mentioned the important dates also. So all the participants are requested to go through these themes and we have 4 editors with us, including myself. We will try to complete this book by February month. It is not a part of this FDP, but as you all are learners of design thinking and you are enthusiasts of artificial intelligence, so I request you all to be the part of this project. It's a great opportunity for you all to publish your research papers, your research reviews in this book as book chapter, which will be published by Bentham Science, which is an academic publisher indexed in Scopus. So, as Professor Kurt was discussing about the timeline, I would like to inform you that from this day onwards, we are accepting the abstract. The email is live now. Abstract submission can be extended as per the request on the of the participants or the fellow colleagues. Currently, we have kept this deadline to submit the abstract before 25 of November. As this FDP will be ending on 22nd, we will be discussing and we will be having more such sessions in which we can find our inspiration to write a book chapter. Now that abstract acceptance will be replied by the email itself, and we can now extend that deadline also if required. That after that acceptance of the abstract, Professor Kurt will also put his inputs in the accepted abstracts to suggest changes or to suggest some more conceptual uh, a part of the chapter can be included or not, he will see. And some other resource persons, some other collaborators or editors will also put their efforts, put their insights to improve the abstracts. After the final abstract acceptance, the authors will be allowed to write full chapter, and that full chapter can be submitted by late December or in January. On the submission of that full chapter, we will be having a discussion with the authors, discussions with the editors to discuss the flow of the book, the arrangement of the book chapters, the selections of the book chapter, the content of the book chapter. All these things will be discussed among the editors, and then the final book chapters will be accepted for publication in the book. One more thing I would like to add here, there will be a plagiarism policy, that no plagiarism will be accepted above 10%, and all original articles which are not submitted elsewhere will be included in this book. We have a limited capacity, limited uh, number of pages for this book. So we will be selecting only 12 to 13 selected book chapters with enough number of references, with enough number of uh, quotes or included principles. And we request all the participants of this FDP also to be a part of this project and contribute your chapters. This book will not only change the um, scenario of understanding design thinking in a new perspective of AI, but also inspire other researchers, other fellow colleagues to write and to learn more about the role of AI in design thinking. So I request Professor Kurt to throw some light on these topics. If he feels that it is okay, then we can circulate this call for book chapter flyer. Sir,
Um, this
my
looks
screen
fine
is
to
visible,
me.
sir. Is it? Uh,
Yes,
yes.
yes, yeah. No, I don't have any questions at this point. I'm just curious to see what gets submitted, but I think the overall structure and intent of the project looks really good. So I'm just excited to kind of see what we get and to go from there and shaping, a publication.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sir, I would like to inform you, Professor Daniel Lake, who is Director of Design Thinking in Elon University, has also sent his consent to be the editor of this book. So I am very happy to include her also on this project. And I
Perfect.
have been discussing this topic with you, as you already know. So I started sharing this information that I am writing a book on AI and design thinking for emerging technologies. So she was also interested to be the part of this project. So I invited her and to be the editor of this book. And Dr. Mayank Agarwal is the co-organizer of this FDP, and he is the professor and head of the Department of Computer Science here in the Gurukul Kangdi University. He has been a motivator. He has been a mentor for me also. So that's why I have included him as the co-editor for this book. I feel delighted and I feel privileged to have such great editors of this
Mhm.
book. And this will be a change maker. This will be a good start for all the engineers, all the learners, all the students, all the researchers who are working in this field. So if you want any change in the suggested theme, I will share the themes with you, sir, again on the email. So
Mhm.
if you will suggest some changes in the theme or suggest some new book chapter titles also, then you can reply it back. We can have this uh, change in the date for book chapter abstract submission and full chapter submission. We can extend that date also. In the April month, we are going to submit it completely. So we have the deadline of the month of April from the Bentham Science. They have sent me the mail of confirmation with the deadline. So before April, we have to do the plagiarism check. We have to do the revisions. We have to send the final proof reading drafts to all the authors. We have to do so many works. So that is why I have kept the deadline for February, because we need enough time to do all the necessary things after the chapter is finally submitted.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So I have stopped sharing. I will, yes, yes, yes. I will share the details of the book chapter in the WhatsApp group or also here also. So we can have much more discussion on this. We can invite much more um, learned professors to write book chapters. Anything from you, sir? Would you like to add something?
No, I'm just excited to see how this is all going to turn out. So I think you've done a great job in setting this up, and it looks like we have a great editorial team.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just really happy this has all come together. Congratulations on getting the book contract. That's really
Thank
amazing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
I have a
Hmm.
habit of trying all these things. I used to apply for various proposals, and I would like to inform you that currently I am running a project also for the solar radiation study in Uttarakhand region in India, and that is a government sponsored project. And I am currently heading um, various departments in the university also. So I'm quite busy, but still I try to take up these opportunities and grab these opportunities. I applied for this AICT ATAL FDP and I got it, so that it was a great opportunity. So, I was able to invite you in the session also.
Great.
So in the another project I am applying in the near future, I have already discussed it with you also, to invite a international faculty in India. That is a proposal of Government of India that comes under GIAN scheme, in which international faculty who is currently associated with a foreign university can be invited in India. I have dropped that proposal also. I hope it will get accepted and I will invite you, sir, to visit India. And we will be paying the boarding and lodging and all the travel fare
Hmm.
for you. So you are most welcome to stay with us for some days. It will be a 10 days workshop on design thinking. I have already applied for that proposal and I
Hmm.
hope it will be granted very soon. It's a great opportunity. It will be a great opportunity for you to come India and to teach us all and to guide us all in this field.
That sounds wonderful. Keep me informed. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
very
sure, sure,
interested.
sir. I have
Hmm.
already submitted the proposal. Whenever it gets accepted, I will send you a confirmation mail. Then you can come to India.
Okay, I look forward to hearing from you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now we can end
Thank
this
you.
session here. I hope you have to go for the meetings and the participants are also going to rest
Right.
after this long session of 3 hours around. So
Wow.
we would like to end this session here. And I
Thank you.
will again thank Professor Kurt for sparing his valuable time and for giving these insights of design thinking. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Size
Thanks,
Parag sir,
everybody.
thank you, sir. Nicely
Thank
you
you,
are
sir.
Thank
loud,
you.
nicely you are narrating. Thank you, Peter, sir. That was
Thank you.
Thank
wonderful.
you,
Thank
Peter
you.
sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sir.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank you. You're also nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you. Now you
Thank
all
you.
can leave the session.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you, Suraj. We'll be in
Thank you.
touch.
Thank you, sir. So many thanks for delivering this lecture. It was such a great lecture we had
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm
sir.
glad you liked it. All right. We'll be in
I
touch.
will be
Thanks.
communicating with you soon, sir.
Okay. All right. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
uh, Good morning to you, sir. Have a
Yes, good
great
morning to
day.
me, but good evening for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Participants, you can also leave, or if you have any question, then you can ask. I will be sharing more details on the WhatsApp group, and I will be sharing the call for papers. Actually, it was a project running for um, uh, so many days. I recently got the acceptance from the Bentham Science, so I shared it with you all. You all are invited to contribute. Actually, I was thinking that some of you can make groups of 2 or 3 authors, and they can work together to write this book chapter on any theme. This book chapter will be published in Scopus, so you will also get a benefit in the promotions or in the increments. I think there is a message. The book chapter complete. Okay. Very good. Yes, yes. I will be sharing the call for book chapter proposal with you all. Yes. Okay. I will share the feedback link again. No problem. You can fill the feedback. Feedback link will be shared again on the. I will. Oh, wait. Some of you have missed, I guess. Oh. Here it is. You can fill the feedback. I will share the session 5 feedback also here. Both feedback links are shared in the group. You can fill. Okay, you want to ask something? You can ask. I guess all of you are aware of chapter writing. That is not difficult. I guess all of you have written a book chapter or research paper previously. So that is not required to be explained here again. And if there are any question, then you can ask. कोई क्वेश्चन है आप लोगों का? पूछिए. कैसे लिखना है, क्या लिखना है, ये तो आई गेस आपको सबको पता ही होगा.